All right, what's up, everybody? We are back. This is the Fighters Corner, episode 4. It is me. I'm back with my man Eddie Rex Seidler.
What's going on, guys?
How is everything, man? We missed you last week, but we're happy to have you back now, Eddie. What's been going on with you? Anything new?
Yeah, man, just watching a whole lot of fights, a lot of good stuff coming up, and a lot of stuff happened since our last episode. So, we got a lot to talk about.
Yep, we got a whole bunch to get into for you guys today. So like I always say, let's go, champ. All right, so guys, we are going to be starting off boxing today. It was a big week of fights. We had it was a great week for boxing. Was some bad decisions, some good. We're going to get into it all. But starting off, we got my man Lawrence Okolie. This was took on David Light. This was a WBC Cruiserweight Championship. Okolie kind of is the top dog in that division. To be honest, the cruiserweight has kind of been a little not boring, but there's been lack of great elite competition since Alexander Usyk left, and he unified. Well, I don't know if you remember when they did the Super Six tournament. It was like the last big Super Six tournament they did, but they did it at cruiserweight back in like 2015, and Usyk took all the belts, and then he made his move to heavyweight. But as of right now, hopefully Lawrence Okolie can bring some more attention to it. But yeah, man, this fight. I'm not gonna say David Light was an easy opponent. He did a great job of hyping the fight up and giving him, and he made Okolie have to work for it, but it was inevitable, man. We knew we were just waiting for Okolie to get that one punch or that one combination that was gonna call it out, and it happened. And I will give Light. He didn't get finished, and he did say that was a big. I feel like that was something he took home. The fact that Okolie wasn't able to finish him, but yeah, man. Okolie really wasn't tested, and he won a unanimous decision. This was his third title defense, and he came back after spending a year out of the ring. One thing I also want to point out, this is his first time, his first fight with his new trainer. I don't know if you know who Sugar Hill is.
No, I don't.
Sugar Hill is Emmanuel Augustus, the late great Emmanuel Augustus nephew. Emmanuel Augustus was the genius behind Tommy Hearns. There's more fighters right now. I can't remember exactly, but
He's the drunken master, right? He's the one that had that crazy style.
uh,
Pretty sure Emmanuel Augustus, right? He fought Floyd back in the day. Or is it someone with the same name?
I think it might be someone with the same name because that's a different. As a matter of fact, let me double check because it might be. I know you're talking about Drunken Master.
Yeah.
Because I think that was a bit. Because I think Emmanuel Augustus was a bit older. I don't think. No.
Yeah, it might be someone different because of the age, for sure. So the drunken master, Emmanuel Augustus, 48 years old.
Look up Tommy Hearns, Emmanuel Augustus, trainer. Oh,
It might be the same guy.
my bad. I'm sorry. I'm getting the names wrong. Sorry that everybody. Emmanuel Stewart.
Oh,
my
that's
bad.
what I got here.
Emmanuel Stewart. So Sugar Hill is Emmanuel Stewart's nephew, and like I said, Emmanuel Stewart, late great Emmanuel Stewart, he fought or trained Tommy Hearns, countless other fighters. I forgot it was one. I think it might have been Lennox Lewis. He went back to him when he had lost his there was a fight he lost, and he went to Emmanuel Stewart for help. But it was just really cool to see because I've been paying attention to boxing now for about 2 or 3 years, but the crunk style of fighting, the one thing Emmanuel Stewart would do, and if you watch Tommy Hearns, he fought this way a lot. You know how most people keep the right hand covering their head? They would keep that right hand right kind of in front of them, like in front of the chin. So that was very indicative of a crunk. Like if you saw someone doing that, oh, this guy's from Crunk Gym. And I remember watching that fight, Okolie was doing that all, like that hand was right there. I was like, oh, that's crunk style. So I can tell he's really, Sugar Hill has really made an impact, and he's looks like he's got him doing good work. But and it's also good to see the crunk style still around. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, guys, I really don't. That's all we really have for this one. Like I said, hopefully we'll see Okolie with a tougher opponent in the future. Also worth mentioning, David Light was coming off an ACL injury, so it's good.
Always bad news.
Exactly. So and then who knows? Maybe Okolie might go to heavyweight in the future. But that pretty much wraps that one up. And then next fight we are going on to a WBC Junior Welterweight title eliminator. This is the veteran Richard Comey took on Jose Ramirez. Comey is kind of like the veteran in that division, the gatekeeper. Pretty much, if you want a title shot, you got to beat Richard Comey first. That's kind of how it's been played and looked at. But this fight, I was actually pulling for Comey. I've been always kind of a big fan of his. I know he's lost his last 3 fights and all, but I've always kind of enjoyed his fighting style. He's very explosive and very active. It's just the problem with him is he can't really fight off his back foot. So when you can sort of take away his pressure when he gets tired, that's when it's kind of easier to beat him. And that's kind of what happened in this fight. Comey had good energy to start off, but he just couldn't, for whatever reasons, when he started to slow down, that's when Ramirez would really punish him. And then, like I said, whenever he would slow down and Ramirez would press forward, Comey is not that great at fighting off his back foot. So that's when Ramirez really started to land punches on him. And then also Ramirez invested in the body. He just made sure to always throw that body shot because Comey kind of had him on reach. But, I mean, if you keep hitting the same spot over and over, you know, they say death by 1,000 cuts. And I remember in the 8th round, he hit Comey with a body shot and it dropped him. But he beat the 8 count and he continued on. And then I think it was the 11th round, 11th round, he hit him with another one and that he couldn't beat the 10 count. And yes, that pretty much wrapped that up. And but credit to Comey, he's a warrior, man. He's been around for a minute. I don't know how much longer he's gonna keep fighting, but it's been real. It's been very inspiring just to watch him over these years, and hopefully he can get another win before he officially puts the gloves down. But that was Jose Ramirez versus Richard Comey. And then this fight I added on last second because this has been rocking the boxing world these past couple of days. The fight between at 135 between Chris Colbert and Jose Valenzuela. Now, going into the fight, I didn't know too much about either opponent, so I did my research after, and I pretty much found out that both of them are 2 up-and-comers, had a lot of hype, and then in their last fight, they were picked to win and lost. I forgot who Valenzuela lost to, but Chris Colbert lost to the guy who Tank Davis just beat. And he beat him. Like the guy I think earned like that fight to fight or received like the attention to fight Tank Davis because he beat Chris Colbert. That's how big of an underdog he was. So that being said, they were both coming back from the first loss of their career, and instead of taking an easy fight, I got to give it to them. They decided to hop in there with someone who could possibly give them a second straight loss, and it's unfortunate, but that's what happened. But I'm not gonna lie, man. I feel like the judges really got this wrong. This might have been one of the most egregious decisions we've seen in boxing in some recent time. Just to begin the fight, Colbert got dropped within like 40 seconds. Just he walked into a mean left hook and just got sent to the canvas immediately. Now I'll give it to him. He got back up and he was the better boxer. He was a bit more active than Valenzuela at times, but just Valenzuela, there was maybe like 2 or 3 times in this fight, man, where he almost was maybe a punch away from finishing him. And don't get me wrong, Colbert was able to find a way out, and where he always able to get that last slip or something, or that last block, and then throw a jab or a quick combination and get out. But he wasn't like Valenzuela never was hurt. He didn't look pressured at all. Like you could just tell Colbert was just fighting to survive. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he never looked like, all right, now I can really start getting my off and picking this guy apart. It's like, oh no, I gotta survive. Shoot, oh, like he never looked like he was like even mentally thought he was winning that fight. Because even when they made their final decision, like I feel like he thought he lost the fight because I was looking at his facial expression and he looked like, oh man, I know I lost this. And he was like shocked when they held his hand up. But yeah, man, just all that and the judges ruled this. 94, all judges ruled in the same. It was 95-94 Colbert, and he won unanimously. And like that's crazy. And I know a lot of people were upset with Colbert for his how he behaved after the fight. He was a bit arrogant and all that. But I mean, he didn't judge his fight. You know what I'm saying? It's the judges that made that decision. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like it always does look better if you know you lost the fight. Because even if you like what the judges say, a fighter, you know when you lost the fight. You know what I'm saying? So I guess people will appreciate you being keeping it real. But I mean, hey, the judges gave him that victory. So I really feel just bad for Valenzuela for training like that, and because these guys put in a lot of work and all that, and just to be on the end of a decision like that where you pretty much he dominated that guy and. I just feel bad for that. And then also was kind of like I've never like this like kind of show you how bad the decision was. Jim Gray, the announcer, when he interviewed Valenzuela after he finished, like Valenzuela asked him, "Oh, do you think that was a bad decision?" And the announcer was really like, "Yes, that's a terrible decision. I agree with you." Like you never see that. So shout out Jim Gray for keeping it real. But yeah, man, it's just unfortunate we see these things in boxing. And once again, I think Colbert, well, I'll tell you what it is. I think Colbert fights, is it Al Heyman? Yeah, I think he fights under Al Heyman. And I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. It's great being on Al Heyman's side, but being on the other side, opposite of Al Heyman in a fight, man, you see how much, like, some of these promoters have so much influence over the sport, man. It's crazy, man.
He pulls all the strings.
Like you can literally have a guy get dropped in the first round, almost get knocked out twice, and then come out with a unanimous decision. And then the funny part was after the fight, they were talking to Chris Colbert, and they're like, "Oh, are you gonna give him a rematch?" He's like, "No, I'm going back to 130. As a fact, I'm going back to my weight class." Like, yeah, you know why you're going back to your weight class? You got dropped. Get out of here. But yeah, hopefully the Jose Valenzuela can bounce back because 2 straight losses like in big fights like this can be detrimental in boxing, man. So. I just hope he gets a chance because, man, he was robbed in that one. But, all right, everybody, let's get to our main event. Biggest fight of the weekend, in my opinion. Well, actually, not biggest fight of the weekend, period. We had David, the Mexican monster, Benavidez, taking on Caleb Sweet Hands Plant. This was for the WBC Super Middleweight Interim Championship and the rights to become the mandatory challenger at that weight division. So pretty much the winner of this fight sets up a date with Canelo Alvarez if they will. But then again, remember that we just talked about boxing has so much people in power. So we all got to decide because Canelo is kind of like he got that witness protection program to quote Teddy Atlas. He had that witness protection from the WBC. So we'll see what Maurice Suleiman sets up, but. I mean, if they do what they should do, the winner of this fight should be fighting Canelo. But let's get into the fight now. Man, this was a great fight. It was good to see 2 guys in like at the top of the divisions because arguably the first and second contenders, both because I think Plant has only lost to Canelo and Benavidez is undefeated. So both kind of had good records, putting them up on the line and. They went out there and left it all in the ring. I know there was a lot of bad blood being said before the fight and all that. I know Benavidez. I know they had some altercation where they met at like a gym or something, and while Plant was training, they pulled up on him. But it was good to finally see him get in the ring. And I'm not gonna lie, to start off the fight, you know me, I'm always going for my boxers, man. I appreciate slick boxing, and that's exactly what Caleb Plant was doing. I remember I watched his fight against the first fight I ever saw was when he fought Canelo, and then I recently watched when he got knockout of the year last year against Anthony Durrell. I think I was showing you that one where he goes to the body once and then
left hook down, left hook up,
knockout of the year. So Caleb Hands, I almost called him Caleb Hands. Caleb Plant has hands, man, and he's a very slick boxer. He started off the round controlling range, had a quick lightning fast jab. And he was kind of like he pretty much like the one thing I would say Plant had an advantage over Benavidez because even though Benavidez is a big guy, his hands move so fast. Like he's a big dude, but like his hands move like a flyweight. So he has power and speed. So that's 2 things you really gotta. When someone's fast and they can hit hard, bro, it's oh gosh. But one thing Plant kind of had was the better movement. Like Plant really kind of controlled him using his footwork. Those early rounds. And Plant was kind of, I think, up into the judges had Plant for the first half of the fight, winning the first half of the fight. He was up, I know it was like 86 to like maybe, it was close, obviously. It was like 86 to like 84 the first half of the fight. And then, but then again, like I was always saying, because Plant fights because I know he's been doing a lot of work with Andre Ward. He's friends with Shakur Stevenson. He's a slick boxer, so he's kind of very like that style of fighting. I like it, but I've always said like that's what made Mayweather so great. To do that all round, it requires a different level of stamina. And after like that 6, once you got to like the middle toward the latter rounds, he just didn't have the stamina to throw those quick punches and get out before Benavidez could literally land anything meaningful. And that's when Benavidez really started throwing kind of like, well, my bad, not Benavidez. That's when Plant started clinching because he didn't have or I guess he was too tired, or Benavidez made adjustments. So he would get his combinations off and then clinch Benavidez before he could like land anything. So, and then like, I don't know what, don't get me wrong, Kenny Bayless is a veteran, like legendary referee, but I've never seen someone get away with clinching so much in a fight. Like, and trust me, I'm a Mayweather fan, so you know I can't like, like I've never seen this. He was literally like he would have to say something to Plant like 5 times a round about clinching, and they never took a point away. But one thing I don't know if they made an adjustment for this, but one thing I noticed after Benavidez realized, oh, he's not gonna do anything with this clinching, is whenever Plant would kind of come in for that clinch after he would throw his, like, let's say he threw like a 1-2-3 or something, he would kind of just wait, like stand behind his guard, and then as soon as he came in for that clinch, he would fire off a quick kind of over the, like a short little hook, kind of like an overhand, but a hook just boom, and he would just then fire one to the body to like he kind of made like use of these short little hooks to try and like pepper him up in the clinch. And you know, traditionally you can't get that much power, but Benavidez, boy, when you got power like that, you don't need too much windup. Yep. And so I remember I think it was round 8 or round like 9, he really started. That's when he landed on Plant, and then from there, man, it was just downhill. Like Plant went out on his shield and all, he didn't finish him, but yeah, man, once he started landing them hooks and we really started putting combinations on him, like I said, man, that guy's got power, bro. It's the reason why Mike Tyson calls him the Mexican Monster. And yeah, they gave it to. So you honestly got to give it to him because he was able to, because he was losing the fight in the first half, and then he was able to beat him on the cards in the second half and win the fight. So that was Benavidez winning unanimously.
Now, do you think Benavidez was favored for that fight?
That's the crazy part, because even though Canelo was, Benavidez, I mean, a lot of people had him as the better fighter. A lot of people favored Plant going into it, and I think Benavidez was actually the underdog going into this fight. Like, I don't know.
So I'm looking at the odds right now. So Benavidez was actually a favorite, -300, and then Plant was +300.
All right, so Plant, you said was the favorite?
Yeah, so you bet $100 on Plant, you made 300 if you won.
Yep, Plant was. I feel like also a lot of that had to do with the fact that because Plant's been around the game a bit longer, he's been in like these big fights with Anthony Durrell, Canelo Alvarez. This was kind of the first time we got to see Benavidez on like that big fight scale, fighting in front of all, because it was a pro Hispanic crowd, definitely. I think I forgot where they were fighting, but the crowd was definitely in favor of Benavidez, and then that was also indicative when I was talking about that Chris Colbert fight, because the fans were really upset when they gave that fight to Chris Colbert. But yeah, man. So like I said, the winner of this is hopefully set up a meeting with Canelo for undisputed super middleweight king. That'll be a very, Canelo has ducked Benavidez before, so he's been his mandatory, I think, like either once or twice before. But now hopefully, if Canelo wants to do anything at middleweight, he has to go through Benavidez first, because now he is the mandatory. But then again, Canelo can still try and do that fight Bivol at 175 again at lightweight, but I don't think he'll want that because he'll get cooked again. But like I was telling you before, I hope Bivol comes down to 168 and takes Canelo's belts. That would be cool. That would put pressure on Canelo. But man, they got that witness protection program, so we don't know what they're gonna do.
So does Canelo have a fight booked right now?
Yes, it's against some guy named Ryder, I believe. Ryder something.
Let me pull it up.
It's no disrespect to him, but it's a fight that they've got. Like Canelo's gonna win that. He's not gonna
get him back on the win column.
Well, he's on the win column because his most recent fight was Gennady Golovkin, but that was another one. Like they finished off their trilogy, but that was another one where he kind of waited a little. Well, he purposely did it to wait till Golovkin got a little older. But I mean, I'm still mad the Golovkin fight, man, when they robbed him of that first one. Yeah, the first one.
So he's gonna fight John Ryder.
Yeah, Ryder. I knew his last name was
British
Ryder.
guy.
It's I don't, like I said, he's worked his way. He's the face of boxing, but like I said, witness protection program. But moving, that's pretty much the Plant versus Benavidez. So Caleb Plant. Now I don't wonder what they're gonna do with him moving forward. Who is that middleweight? He's already beaten Duran. I guess they can kind of wait to see what happens with Benavidez and Canelo. Maybe do a rematch. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's interesting what they're gonna do at super middleweight. But it's all kind of based on what Canelo does. Like, so pretty much everything is waiting on what he does. So, all right, everyone, that is it for boxing. So that was the boxing week. So now we're gonna move on to UFC 287. My man Eddie.
That's right.
Well,
Well,
take over here.
287 is next weekend.
My bad. 286 part, guys.
Right. So 287 is this weekend in Miami. That's where we have the trilogy between. Well, not the trilogy. It's actually the second MMA fight.
My bad. This is fight night. My bad. Fight night.
Right. So 287, we have Adesanya versus Pereira. We have a bunch of big fights on that card. But what just happened this weekend was a big fight night, and we don't often get those really good fight night cards, the free cards on ESPN Plus.
True.
This was a good one. So much love to Uncle Dana. We had Corey Sandhagen versus Chito Vera.
Sherman.
And this was a very important fight for bantamweight because those guys are up there in the top 5. And bantamweight right now is a really crazy division. There's a lot going on. We just had Peter Yan getting absolutely destroyed by Marab, which no one saw coming.
The guy freaking shot how many times in that fight?
Like
Those takedowns?
50 times almost. Broke the record by a mile.
Crazy.
50 takedown attempts in a fight. That's crazy. And then we got Aljamain Sterling versus Henry Cejudo coming up. That's, I believe, in early May.
Them boys are already starting to talk on Twitter, but you know who Cejudo is,
Yeah,
boy.
Cejudo's a character. He's not going to stop trolling.
That guy, like, one thing he does not need is confidence. That man has all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, I'm excited for that fight. So, yeah, we had Sandhagen versus Chito, and I was picking Sandhagen for this fight. There's very few opponents that I would pick against Sandhagen, and Chito's not one of them. Like, Chito's a great fighter, but Corey is just so well-rounded, and he's, in my opinion, better everywhere than Chito, and that's kind of what we saw in that fight. You know, Chito's known as a striker. Corey outstruck him. Chito's known as a guy who can hold his own in the wrestling. Corey did better. So,
everywhere where they thought Chito had an advantage,
Corey just one-upped him, you know. So the first 2 rounds, Corey got takedowns and just held him down. Aside from outstriking him when the fight was on the feet, he also got the control time, landed some good ground and pound, good elbows from Corey. So he got 2 rounds easy, and then round three, a few of the judges gave to Chito, and I feel like it was fair. The round mostly took place on the feet, and Chito had some good strikes, had some good leg kicks. Corey was a little more on the passenger seat for that round. So, you know, if you want to give 3 to Chito, I'm not fully against that.
You think that was part of maybe he thought he was already up, or maybe getting a little breather?
Yeah, it could be a little bit of that. You know, when you're fighting 5 rounds, you have to pace yourself. So it could be that Corey saw that he was 2 up, and he was like, okay, I'll just coast around a little bit for this one. But I don't think that's what happened. I think he tried to win the round, but he didn't win it. And then rounds 3 and 4 were basically all on the feet, and we all know Corey is just too good on the feet. He reminds me. I was thinking of this earlier today. Like, the best bantamweight most people will say is Dominic Cruz of all time, right? Just based off the accolades and the title defenses and all that. And the reason for that was that he had a style that was so innovative, no one knew how to deal with it. Like the awkward movement, the weird head movement, and the changing stances all the time, and striking as you're changing stances. And that's what Corey does, but he does it like to a better degree. So in my opinion, like, what Corey does is kind of like if you fused Dominic Cruz with TJ Dillashaw, you know. Like, he's got the aggressiveness and the dynamicness of TJ, but then he also has the unpredictability and the
IQ of
the creativity
Cruz.
and the IQ of Dominic Cruz.
Gotcha.
So Corey is a puzzle, you know. That's what most people say about him. He's a puzzle. He's like, if you want to beat him, you better play a whole lot of chess in that camp, let's say, you know, like, because that boy, he's a puzzle. So yeah, rounds 3 and 4, he did what he does, you know, changing stances and throwing as he changes stances, moving all the time. He's so hard to hit. So he got 3 and 4 pretty easily, and then round 5 was a little more contested. And the reason for this was in the corner between round 4 and 5. Cheeto got a big boost from his corner for round 5. They were like, "You got to be aggressive. You got to look for the finish. You're down the scorecards." So Cheeto went for it. You know, hats off to Cheeto. Everyone knows that guy's game. You know, he's not gonna back down from a fight.
He went out swinging. Yep, gotta respect that.
And yeah, that was about it. I mean, to me, it was a clear decision night and day for Corey. But as I'm about to explain, the judges did not see it that way. At least one of them. This caused some turmoil.
Well, we had some bad judging in UFC
man.
too. It was in both sports, man.
Right. So check this out. Judge 1 gave it 49-46 to Corey, which means 4 rounds out of 5.
Gotcha.
Fair, balanced. And then Judge 2. He gave it 50-45 for Corey, which is how I scored it, right? Every single round for Corey.
Gotcha.
And then Judge 3.
And then hold up, before you go in, you said that you said the one you did give Cheeto was that third, right?
No, I gave Corey every round, but the first judge gave Cheeto the third.
And you said that.
And I said it's fair.
Okay.
Like that round could be for Cheeto.
Gotcha.
If you gave it to Cheeto, I got no problem.
So the first judge 4-1, second 5 straight, and then third.
Yep. And then third judge, I mean, I don't know what he was drinking, but he scored it 48-47 for Cheeto. So he gave Cheeto 3 of the rounds.
That's a big discrepancy in judge.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my God.
Like, how do you go from every round for Corey to 3 rounds for Cheeto?
What fight?
Like, did they watch the same fight? Like, what are we talking about?
That's crazy.
And you know what's crazy? Like, there was a video on Twitter that got, it kind of went viral this past week. Because this fight was in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically the way that this stuff works with the judges and referees, it's by the state athletic commissions.
Gotcha.
So if you're a judge in Texas, you're going to judge UFC, whatever event is in Texas, that's the one you judge.
Gotcha.
Right? It's not the UFC that picks the judges. So there was this amateur event last week, and basically like the guy who was judging these fights, the UFC fights, he was the referee on this amateur event last week.
Gotcha.
And the video that went viral was like there was a fight in this event that this guy got like a submission, and the guy who was in the submission was out for like a solid minute before the referee noticed. Right? So this guy, he should be in jail.
Oh my
this
God.
Like,
he was an accomplice.
That's what I'm saying. This guy
he was an accessory to murder.
like serious stuff. Like serious
That's
stuff.
crazy.
And then the next week, this guy's judging UFC fights.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
That's crazy. Yeah, he should be in jail.
He should be in jail, and he's judging UFC fights.
It's like the guys choking him out. I don't know if you ever watched the WWE back in the day, but sometimes what they would do is they would have a celebrity ref, and pretty much it would be like, so let's say me and you were in like a beef, like you know the WWE is all story, but let's say they had written, so me and you were at a point where we were like opposing each other. So let's say you had a fight, they would send me against someone else. They would send me out as like the ref to like ref your fight, you know, and then they would like do points. So like I remember one time The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, they always had beef. The Rock was the ref, so the guy is literally beating the fuck out of Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you see The Rock just looking
watching, yeah, checking his watch.
Yo, that's what it reminds me of. But
so yeah, but you know, the good news is that we have 3 judges and 2 of them at least watched the fight. So it was a split decision for Corey. Should have been unanimous. But, yeah, you know, at least he got the win. It wasn't like the TJ fight where all 3 judges were on meth.
Hey, at least it wasn't like Jose Valenzuela's fight, bro. You dropped the guy freaking once and almost knock him out twice, and then he wins a unanimous decision.
Right.
That's crazy. I remember actually one more thing from that. I remember you saying that it reminded me. There was a point where even Chris Colbert's corner was talking about throwing the fight. Yes. And then you literally heard the commentators like, oh, his corner seems to be talking about like, oh, if you don't give us anything, we're gonna throw the fight. And then like you're like, how do you go from that to winning?
Yeah. Just influence, yeah.
But oh man, so what else you got for us, UFC, my man?
Yeah, so Corey got the win, and prior to this fight, Cheeto was at the number 3 spot in bantamweight, and Corey was at number 5. So now they just switched spots. So Corey's at number 3, Cheeto's at number 5, and then number 1 is Marab. Aljo is of course the champion. Number 2 is Sean O'Malley. So super interesting stuff.
And then Cejudo's coming back to fight
Cejudo,
Aljo.
yeah, Cejudo's not in the rankings, but he's about to fight Aljo. So there's another name getting mixed into that top 5. So man, I'm telling you, bantamweight's my favorite division, and no bias, right? Because I'm a bantamweight. I'm 135. No bias. That's the best division right now in the UFC.
And Cejudo was a 2-division champ. He won at was it Bantam or the flying?
He got flyweight and bantamweight. So yeah, we'll see. There's so many fights that they can book at this division right now. I wish I had Mick Maynard and Hunter's job. You know, I wish I could be the UFC matchmaker right now and pick these fights.
Dang.
So here's what I would do. We got Merab number 1, and then we got, who did I say was number 2? O'Malley. O'Malley number 2, and then Corey just got 3, and who's 4 again?
Vera, right?
No, Cheeto's 5 now, so someone's at 4. Let me pull up the rankings again.
Is that Yan?
Peter Yan. Okay, so here's what I would do. Sean O'Malley versus Corey Sandhagen, 2 and 3.
Gotcha.
Crazy fight for the fans. Crazy fight to see who wins, right? Just has to be, in my eyes. And then Merab has to get the next title shot. So he doesn't fight anyone, and then he gets the winner of Aljamain versus Cejudo.
Gotcha.
But the big issue is that he's not going to fight Sterling no matter what, because they're teammates. They're best buddies.
Yep.
So that only happens if Cejudo wins, which I think happens. I think Cejudo beats Sterling. So
You think Cejudo's gonna win beat Sterling?
I do, but if he doesn't, that's where it gets complicated.
You don't think that layoff will affect him at all, man?
Nah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, like that's the only thing you can kind of look at. Because so, like you said, Cejudo 2-division champ, man. Like other guys go to this guy for like help and stuff. So I mean, the only thing where I see Aljo getting him is he hasn't been doing it for a minute. But no, I guess you're right.
But it's not like he's been in his couch for 4 years. The guy's been training. So
All right, yeah.
Cejudo, I would never bet against ever.
Yeah,
ever,
I think
ever.
Cejudo probably is a safe bet on there.
So they book O'Malley versus Sandhagen, great fight, and then Merab gets whoever wins. But if Sterling wins, Sterling moves up. That's probably what happens. If Sterling wins, he goes up to 45 and then fights probably whoever's the champ right away. So either
Islam?
Volkanovski, no, 45.
Oh my, gotcha.
So either Volkanovski or Yair Rodriguez, because they're gonna fight to unify the belt.
That's right.
So Merab would probably not Merab. Aljamain, if he beats Cejudo, fights probably the winner of that. But I might be going too far forward, you know. And then we got Cheeto at 5. Cheeto could fight Peter Yan at 4. It's got to be 5 and 4. Cheeto versus Peter Yan. Yeah, I mean.
Who you got in that one? Those are both guys who kind of suffered some losses.
If Cheeto fights Peter Yan, I'm picking Peter Yan. Because the only way to beat Peter Yan is wrestling, and Cheeto's not gonna take him down 45 times like Merab did. If you're gonna sit and strike with Peter Yan, you know.
Yeah, it's not a recipe for success.
So yeah, that's pretty much the bantamweight picture. I'm so excited. It's such a good division, and I can't wait to see. Bro, I want so bad for them to book Sean O'Malley versus Corey, because that's like basically 2 of my favorite fighters. They both have very interesting styles. And they even have similar styles in a way with the striking and the dynamic striking, switching stances.
I know.
So that fight would be...
O'Malley's probably more of the pure striker, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then Corey's got that weird Dominic Cruz-esque style. So, yeah, and then the co-main for this fight night was Holly Holm fighting Yana Santos, who was formerly Yana Konitskaya. People who know her from her previous fights. So she got married to UFC light heavyweight Thiago Santos.
Oh, nice. Congratulations to them.
Yep. And basically, Holly Holm just took her down all 3 rounds, just beat her with the wrestling, even got a 10-8 round for round 2. Easy, unanimous decision, right? And then the story is kind of interesting, right? Because Holly Holm, obviously former champion, she obviously got the belt when she knocked out Ronda Rousey back in, I want to say, 09 maybe?
That was 09? Wow.
So, yeah. So, Holly's 41 right now. Holly's 41, and she's going for another title run. And what I thought was interesting
that's a George Foreman right there. When George Foreman won the lineal heavyweight championship, I think like at 45 or something like that. 40, I forgot the exact age, but all right, bet. I'm gonna be paying attention to that.
Yeah, so she's going for another title run, and you know, I thought it was because when you're near the end of your career like that, and you just gotta win in the top 5, I would have expected her to get on the mic and go like, yeah, I want the title shot. I want it right now, like some urgency. But that's not what she did. She was like, I actually have a quote here. Let me see what she said. Yeah, so she said she'll fight whoever gets her closer to the title, but she didn't really call for a fight against Amanda or Juliana, the #1 contender. So she's kind of leaving it in the hands of the UFC, which I respect. But I would have had some more urgency on the mic if I was her. But that's
Maybe,
and then
maybe she.
yeah, and then based on the rankings, she's probably gonna fight Juliana Pena or Raquel Pennington. Right, so we got Amanda the champ, and then Juliana #1, Raquel #2. So depending on who they book to fight Amanda, or if Amanda is actually fighting a featherweight instead of bantamweight, it could hold up the title, because that's what happens when you have someone holding 2 titles at the same time. You defend one, it kind of holds up the other one. So we'll see what happens. I mean, personally, I'm not too interested.
Amanda Nunes is the bantamweight, right?
And featherweight.
Oh wait, she's bantam and feather.
Yeah.
And what's the Alexa DeGrasso?
That's flyweight.
Flyweight?
Let me pull it up, because now I'm not too sure.
I know she just beat Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah, so Alexa Grasso's flyweight, and then strawweight is Wei Li. And then bantamweight and featherweight is Amanda Nunes.
Got a 2-division champ there for y'all. 2-division.
So
right.
yeah, so that was fight night, and yeah, that was pretty much it. And then there was some cool knockouts on the prelims for that card. So
What you got for me?
anyone who has ESPN Plus can go and check those. It was a good card all around. But let's talk about what's coming up, right? Because this was this past weekend. Let's talk about what's next weekend.
Hold up, just before we do that, I just wanted to give a shout out, and also because we talked about going over these, but Friday, May 5th, over in, we're going to switch promotion or companies now, over in One Championship, they have their fight night, and one of my favorite fighters, ever since I've been put on MMA, I've always heard about him and enjoyed watching him. Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, is fighting Adriano Morales for a flyweight world championship.
And I'm pretty sure it's their 3rd fight.
Yeah, because this is because remember when Demetrius came, he took his first loss, the first time he got knocked out, and then he avenged it. So this is the trilogy. So this is gonna be a good one. And then also one of my friends back home put me on this guy a couple years ago, and he just has some crazy stuff. Like you look up his name on YouTube, you'll see some crazy highlights. His name is Rod Tang, and he's a Muay Thai. He's a Muay Thai fighter, but he's fighting Edgar Tabarez, and this is for the flyweight Muay Thai World Championship. You guys, if you like watching exciting just individuals, man, watch Rod Tang fight, man. You know about Rod Tang, right?
Of course I know about Rod Tang.
So check those out. But back to it, my man Eddie.
Yeah, so we got some good ONE FC fights this weekend as well, so definitely check those out. And I think ONE FC is on Prime Video. That's how you watch it.
Yep, Prime.
So if you got Amazon Prime, most of you guys got Amazon Prime, you can watch it live.
Yep, check that out on Friday, May 5th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and that is on Prime. Included with Prime Video. So check that out. One Championship.
Yeah. And then we got the upcoming UFC fights. So we talked about it a little bit earlier today, but we got UFC 287 live from the 305.
Yeah, oh, I like that. Hey,
Yes, sir.
You saw that, y'all? Hey, look at him shout out to 305.
Shout out, Mr. Worldwide.
Hey, Mr. Worldwide.
So we got Pereira versus Adesanya. And I want to talk about this fight for a little bit. Because here's the story,
me too.
right? So they fought way back in their kickboxing days. And if you look at the record, like, yes, Pereira beat him 3 times out of 3. 2 in kickboxing, 1 in MMA.
Yeah.
But if you actually sit down and watch those fights, it doesn't say the whole story.
Yep.
Right? So the first one was in kickboxing, and Pereira beat him by decision. But on that fight, Izzy rocked him bad on like the first or second round.
Mm-hmm.
But Pereira survived, got the win, right?
Just like
And it was a close decision. So
Mhm.
yeah, he got it. All right, cool. And then second fight, kind of the same story. Izzy rocked him, but then Pereira survives, and then he lands that big left hook knockout. So all right, cool. Pereira got that one, fair.
Gotcha.
And then they fight in MMA years later, right?
Mm-hmm. It's the same. It's like the same. It's like
Kind of
the
the
story
same
repeats
story,
itself.
right?
Yep.
Easy rocks him in the first round. He
Almost
makes
has
it
him out of there.
If there's 5 more seconds in that
Yes,
first round,
he's
that
done.
fight's done.
Yep.
Easy rocks him. Pereira survives. Easy's winning the fight. Last round, Pereira finds the perfect shot, blitzes, and gets the finish. Fair. He got it. But we see that they're evenly matched. You know, he's 3-0, but they're evenly matched.
Early stoppage.
It was no worries.
Early stoppage.
We got this thing, me and him. He keeps telling me that it was a bad stoppage.
Early stoppage.
It wasn't no bad stoppage. So yeah, that fight is so exciting. I think that this fight's gonna dictate a lot of what happens in middleweight and light heavyweight.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Because let's say Pereira wins. I don't think he stays at middleweight.
Can't.
He has no reason to stay at middleweight. The only top 5 guy that he beats at middleweight might be just Israel. You know.
Young. Oh yeah.
It might be just Israel.
What about Whitaker? Whitaker, yeah, Whitaker got that ground. Yeah.
Does he beat Whitaker? I don't know. I mean, there's the size thing. Like, Pereira is so much bigger than Whitaker. But
I'm
there's
not gonna
also
lie.
the weight cut thing. Like, I don't think Pereira wants to stay at 185 too long. I think he's definitely gonna go
He's going
up.
to light heavyweight.
Definitely. He wants to avenge Glover, right? He wants to get
with
Jamal Hill.
Hey.
So I definitely think that's the direction that he's going.
The only thing I want to see, well, where did he fight when he was at when he was in kickboxing? What did he fight at when he was at Glory? Like, what was his weight?
I'm gonna pull that up, but I think it was roughly equivalent to like UFC middleweight, so 185, 190 ish.
All right.
Let me see.
I want to see how, because you know how it's always a big thing, especially when someone's a big puncher like Pereira, how their power translates when they go up to the next weight class. So I want to see how them light heavyweight respond to, because that's really going to kind of show where he stands. Because you know how a lot of times you might think a guy has a bunch of power, but it's because he's kind of fighting guys who are a bit smaller than him. And then he goes up to the next the weight class, and it's like, yo, what's going on? I mean, like we saw with Chris Colbert in that fight. Bro, the difference between 130 and 135 is clearly shown because he was hitting that guy, and it looked like he could have hit him with a hammer. And bro, so I would like to see how Adesanya's power translates at light heavyweight.
Yeah, and just to complete this right here, so Pereira fought at middleweight even in kickboxing, so he's always been around 185, 190.
That's crazy. That's just a big dude.
That's a big dude. I don't know
That's
how
just
he
a
makes
big
it.
dude, bro.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
I don't know where he's getting all that water weight from.
That's crazy, man.
But yeah, so I think that if Pereira wins, he probably goes up and challenges for the 205 belt. And if Izzy wins, they have to book it again. It has to be the trilogy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. If Izzy wins, they got to do it again.
It has to.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's super exciting, and it's the kind of fight that you don't want to miss. You know, you got probably the two best strikers on planet Earth. Probably the two best strikers on planet Earth. At least at that weight class, like, but not just that weight class, but like, let's say above 150. The best 2 kickboxers on the planet.
Yeah.
So you definitely don't want to miss that fight. And then the co-main, oh man, that's a good fight as well. We got the return of Street Jesus, Jorge Masvidal.
Game bread, y'all. Game bread. Repping the 305, boy.
That's right, fighting in his hometown. And
Yes,
I was just listening to, because he was just in JRE, Joe Rogan Experience, this past week.
Oh, I gotta check that one out, I bet.
And he was talking about his training camp for this fight and what it's like getting to fight in Miami again. And he was saying that he can, sleep in his own bed and drive to the arena in his own car.
Yeah.
And that's
that makes
it's a factor.
Yep.
People don't think about that, but it's a factor. If you're bouncing from hotel to hotel,
And one thing where we can, sorry to cut you off, but one thing where we can clearly see that plays a big role is with Leon and Kamaru Usman. Right. Leon looked like a changed man fighting in London. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I get it would make sense. You got freaking 30,000 people shouting your name, but yeah, like having the home court advantage and having that motivation in that, like it's a mental thing.
It's the confidence for sure. And Jorge is gonna have that. You best believe. That guy is repping the 305 every day of every week. So So he's gonna have the crowd for sure. And this fight is interesting, because welterweight is in a weird spot right now because you have Hamza kind of sitting in the sidelines. No one knows if he's gonna fight at middleweight or welterweight.
I feel like Kobe ducking him.
And then you have Colby, who's also in kind of a limbo situation. We don't know what's going on with Colby.
Ducking, in my opinion.
Probably ducking. Yeah, he's probably
ducking.
You know. And then we got yeah, it's just an interesting division right now, right? Because Usman just lost twice in a row. What's going on with Usman next?
And then isn't Bully B, Bilal Muhammad in that
Bilal
division?
Muhammad, right?
Yep.
He's going for a title shot.
Bully
So
B.
we'll see what happens. I think that Masvidal doesn't really deserve this if you look at like his last few fights. But I think that if he beats Gilbert, they're gonna give him a fight against Leon just because of the storyline, right? Because these guys, they kind of have a history. There was the whole 3-piece and a soda thing. Do you know about this, right?
With Leon and
Leon and Jorge, right?
Oh, I didn't know.
So you don't know about this?
Bring me up to speed.
Right. So in London, this was probably 2019. Jorge was coming off like a 1-year layoff, and he's fighting Darren Till, who's like top 5 welterweight in a big rise. And Jorge's career is kind of like this. So he comes back and fights Darren Till in London, his hometown. Knocks him out. Boom, left hook. Knocks him out stiff. And then he's having the time of his life. He's doing an interview in the back. And then Leon Edwards just walks by and says something to him. So in the middle of the interview, Jorge walks over to him and they kind of talk a little bit. And then Jorge just bang, 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 throws a 3-piece at him. And then, so this was like in the backstage. Yeah.
All right.
And then Leon had a cut in his eye and everything. And then that's where the whole 3-piece and a soda thing got famous. Because then Jorge walks back to the interview. And then she's like, oh, what just happened there? And he was like, he was talking crazy. I had to give him the 3-piece with the soda.
So he was in the middle of an interview. Leon pulled up. He left the interview, gave him a 3-piece wing dinner, came back and completed the interview.
That's pretty much what happened.
And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, I love Jorge Masvidal. Yeah. All right.
So there's the whole story with this fight. They want to book it because there's kind of some bad blood between them. And also, you're talking about good striker versus good striker, right? True. Welterweight for the longest time has been striker versus grappler or grappler versus grappler. For the longest time, right? You got Colby, you got Tyron Woodley. I
didn't notice that, but that's a good point. Yeah.
Even back in the day, you got Matt Hughes, you got GSP.
That's a good point.
So, and this is something that Jorge was saying on JRE. Like, for the longest time, welterweight has been a very grappling-heavy division. So that's why I think that if Jorge beats Gilbert, they're going to book him for a title fight against Leon, which I definitely want to see. It would be super exciting. Though it wouldn't be fully deserved if you look at accomplishments.
Boy, Colby Covington getting the title shot is not fully deserved. So, hey, I don't want to hear it. Shoot.
Which one? The last one he got?
No. Because remember how they're talking about Colby being Leon's second defense?
Really?
Yeah,
You're talking about it right now?
Yeah, he did. After the fight, as soon as Leon won in the post-fight press conference, Dana White, because remember they made Colby Covington was the backup fighter for that. Dana White was in there saying, "Oh yeah, it makes sense to give it to Colby Covington." He showed up ready. He was like, "Bro, get out of here! No, this dude just came off. He just lost twice to the guy who Leon just beat twice, and he's talking about giving a title shot. Get out of here! Nah." That's that Dana White privilege. I'm sorry.
That's Dana White privilege.
I'm sorry.
That's definitely interesting. We'll see what happens.
There's a few of them out there with that. Patty Pimblett's another one.
Right. And then if Gilbert wins, that might be it for Jorge. We'll see. He definitely looks motivated. He doesn't look like he's thinking about retirement at this point. But 3 losses in a row doesn't look too good in your record.
I know I don't know how much everybody else wants it, but I know he wants another crack at Covington.
Kobe, yeah, that's another thing that he was saying on JRE. But we'll see. I mean, even if he does, I don't see him beating Kobe unless it's a straight boxing fight, which unfortunately in the UFC it's not. So, and then the next fight on that main card is Giannis versus Font. This is a good fight. So, again, we're talking about the stacked bantamweight division. We got Adrian Giannis and Rob Font. Two strikers, 2 guys mostly known for their striking. Giannis is a coming-up guy. He's got, probably like 6 knockouts in the UFC at this point, and he's like 3 years in. Like, he's such an exciting fighter. Yep, such an exciting fighter. He does a lot of training with Aljo. There's some good footage of them sparring online if you want to check that out. And then he's fighting Rob Font, who also Rob Font was flying up the bantamweight rankings like 2 years ago, and then he lost a few in a row. He got beat up by Calvin Kattar, and then he got beat up by Jose Aldo as well. So they're gonna fight, and this is also pretty important for the bantamweight top 10. So we'll see what happens. And this, in my opinion, could be the fight of the night. Rob Font versus Giannis. So keep that in mind. You don't want to miss that one earlier in the main card. And then closing out the main card, we got... Oh, no, so we got two more, actually. So we got Kevin Holland versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. And I know you're excited about this one.
Trailblazer, this is my man right here. I know he's been off that loss against Stephen Thompson, but I mean, hey, if you're gonna lose to somebody, it's Wonder Boy, bro. You
Might
know
as
what
well
I'm
be
saying?
Wonder Boy, yeah.
So, but I'm very excited to see Holland fight, man. I hope he finally gets back in the win column too. I mean, he had that kind of mishap with Kamzat. That was because Kamzat couldn't make weight, but he had to fill in. But yeah, man, one of my favorite fighters, Trailblazer. Shout out Kevin Holland.
Yeah, the thing with Kevin Holland is like his must-watch TV. You know, the
Yep.
guy's just pure entertainment.
Yep.
You have to watch that guy.
Yep.
So it makes sense that he's in the main card. You know, I'm definitely behind that.
And then what's this? The guy he's fighting? Give me some.
Right. So, yeah. So he's fighting a veteran in the game, Santiago Ponzinibbio. He's one of the few Argentines in the UFC. I want to say he's like closing in on 40 at this point. Let me pull up his precise age. I want to say he's at least 36. And he also does a bunch of the commentating for UFC Latin America. So this guy's pretty involved. He's 36, so I got it on the money. 6 foot, fights at welterweight, mostly a striker, has a bunch of knockouts in his record, knocked out a bunch of good guys. So it should be a good fight. You know, this is the kind of fighter that Kevin Holland wants to fight. He wants to fight the kind of guy that wants to take his head off, not the guy that wants to take him down and drag him down.
I know that's one thing he's been sort of asking for him to kind of be put up against like strikers and whatnot. And then, I mean, with the last fight, Wonder Boy got it. So, but
So to me, this is definitely a favorable matchup for Holland, and I would say Kevin Holland gets this one for sure. And then now it's the actual last fight, or the first fight of the main card. And this one is exciting because we got Raul Rosas Jr., right? The youngest guy in the UFC ever.
Yep.
And he's fighting, I honestly never heard of the guy he's fighting, Christian Rodriguez, but he's 8-1, you know, has a good record. So
That was what I wanted to ask you about. Do you think it's a little too early for Rojas to be on the main card this soon?
I mean, the fact that he's on the main card doesn't really change anything. It's just a fight. It's just more eyes. That's the only thing that it means. The fact that it's on the main card. It's not like he's fighting 5 rounds. He's still fighting 3 rounds.
Gotcha.
And it's not like he's fighting a main card level of competitor. He's fighting just a random guy. So
I see what you're saying. All right.
But it's more about the eyeballs, right? Because this guy is 18. He was born in 2004. Let that sink in. 2004, this guy was born. And he's fighting UFC main card next weekend. Yeah. So, you know, and he's going for John Jones' record, right? John Jones became the champion at 21, I want to say. Maybe it was 19. Let me pull this up. When did John Jones...
That is crazy, though, because freaking... I know the youngest in boxing is Mike Tyson.
How old is he?
19...
Okay, so Jones was 23. So Rosas has like 3-4 years to get this done.
23?
Jones was 23 when he beat Shogun back in 2011. So, and this is a record that for the longest time people said this record's never going to be beaten. There's no way. How can someone be younger than him and get to the belt? And Raul's, he's shooting for it, you know. A few years ago, we had Edmund Shabazian, who was also going for it, but then he lost a few fights, and now it's kind of dead. The dream is dead. And then we also had Macy Barber going for the same thing, but she also lost a few. So most of the people who go for it, eventually they reach a certain level of competition that they can't pass.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens with Raul.
And just to bring it back, Mike Tyson was 20 years old and 4 months and 22 days old when he won his first heavyweight title.
That's crazy. 20 years old, heavyweight champion of the world.
Yep.
You can't even drink a beer, but you...
That's crazy. Hey.
So, yeah, Raul Rosas, he's 7-0 currently. He was born in 2004, and he's about to fight a main card. So, yeah, there's that.
It is. But then again, I hope they match him up like well as he like rises, because you don't want them to get knocked out like badly at that young age.
That's what I'm saying.
That would be
Like, what is he?
detrimental.
What does he fight at? Is it 145? Is it featherweight? Let me pull it up. Raul Rosas. So he fights at bantamweight.
Yep, 136.
So there's so many difficult guys for him in that division. Like,
oh yeah, you said that's your favorite division.
yeah, because imagine he wins this and then he beats another another mediocre guy, and then who's he gonna fight? Cheeto.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like, eventually he's gonna have to fight these guys. Like,
Yeah.
Sean O'Malley is gonna have to fight Corey. He might have to fight, I don't know, TJ. So, you know, it gets a little concerning. We'll see what happens. But I'm excited about this kid. He looks very good. And that's pretty much the main card. And then there's also a bunch of good fights on the prelims. We got Kelvin Gastelum fighting Chris Curtis. We got Michael Chiesas fighting the Leech.
My dog.
So that's gonna be a crazy card.
And we got Chris Barnett versus Chase Sherman.
That's right. I forgot about that one.
One of my favorite heavyweights. It's the guy that throws all those kicks and stuff.
Yep. He's the most flexible, chubby guy I've
You
ever
know
seen
what I'm
in my
saying,
life.
bro? Oh my gosh.
And then, yeah, so that's 287. And then another fight that I want to point out, or another card, actually. So the weekend after that, and this is going to be April something. Let me pull up the exact date.
You talking about the fight night?
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about Holloway
Max
versus
Holloway, yeah.
Yeah, Holloway, one of my favorite fighters, man. He was my favorite fighter. I'm not gonna lie. I remember watching that fight against Volk. I love Holloway, but I'm not gonna lie. Volk gave it to him in that fight, and then that's when I kind of started paying attention to Volk a bit more. But yeah, man, one of the best strikers and pure boxers in the UFC, Holloway. So
For sure, yeah.
definitely looking forward to that fight, Max Holloway.
Right, so April 15, we got Holloway, and he's fighting Arnold Allen, who his last fight was against Dan Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you saw that, but man, that fight really put Allen on the map, because Dan Hooker, we all know him as the great striker that he is.
Mm-hmm.
He obliterated Dan Hooker, man. It was
I blew him out the water.
and that fight made me go like, sheesh, bro. Arnold Allen, sheesh.
Who is this?
Because
dude?
he's been around for a while, but he never looked like that. What he did in that fight made me go like, bro, this guy, he might get the belt real soon. He's 19-1, and he's about to fight Holloway, who's 23-7. So, we got Volkanovski about to fight the in-ring champ, Yair Rodriguez, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, other than that, the next best ranked is Max Holloway and Arnold Allen. So, whoever wins this should be in line for a title.
Oh.
But if Max wins, I don't know if they book him against Volk for a fourth time. I don't know if that happens. And
I mean, you think,
so
we just saw the first time they did the 4 fight with
with
Figgy and Brandon
Moreno.
Moreno.
Yeah.
You think
So it could happen. It could.
you think Holloway and Volk?
Like
I
if
feel like
Holloway beats Arnold Allen convincingly and Volk beats Yair Rodriguez, they would probably book a fourth. But I don't see that happening. I see Arnold Allen beating Max Holloway. I think it's that passing of the torch, you know. It's time for the new dog in the yard, and I think that's Arnold Allen, bro.
changing of the guard.
Yep.
Changing of the guard.
So
I forgot where I heard that from.
I think Allen gets it done against Holloway. And yeah, I mean, Arnold Allen's such an exciting fighter right now. You don't want to miss that fight. And then the co-main for that fight night, and this is one that I'm particularly invested in. We got Edson Barboza, who, if you're a kickboxing MMA fan, you know Edson Barboza, right? And he's fighting Billy Quarantillo.
That's
Yep.
why you. Oh, my man.
right.
I'll let you.
Yeah, so he's fighting Billy Q, who is the only UFC fighter currently fighting out of Tampa, representing the 813. He's actually my trainer over at Gracie Tampa
Let's go,
South in
champ. Let's
Tampa.
go, champ. Billy
And-
Q. Billy Q.
He's climbing up the featherweight rankings. You know, I'm super excited to see what the future holds for him. But he's gunning for that title. You know, he's going for it. And if he gets past Edson Barboza, one step closer. You know.
So definitely big shout out to, I want to get his name right. Help me out. Billy Quarantillo. Big shout out, Billy Quarantillo. Good luck in your next fight, man. Let's go, champ. Put it on him.
Let's go. So that's about it. And then Yeah, so those are the next two events that we got. We got 287 in Miami. We got the Fight Night Holloway versus Allen.
We'll definitely be watching that one.
So definitely stay tuned for that, and be sure to tune in to Billy Q versus Barboza to support our Tampa fighter, and that's about it. Yep.
And then last but not least, we have on April 1st, Anthony Joshua, the former heavyweight champion, looks to begin his quest to reclaim his glory and reclaim his belts. He will be taking on, Jermaine Franklin on April 1st. This is, we'll see. I mean, he's had some, big losses. I know he lost to Usyk twice. That's how he lost his belts. I mean, he lost to Ruiz a couple years ago. He was able to win and get his belts back, but we'll see, man. We'll see. Anthony Joshua, if this is probably his last go-round for a title run. So we'll see. But like Eddie said, that's a wrap for episode 4. Anything else you want to add, Eddie?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. Let's stay tuned to the fights. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. And let's go, champ.
All right, y'all. Let's go, champ. Take care.